Hello, welcome to Slogans Rock and Metal Extravaganza. This is episode 2 of our state-to-state obscurities and first listens, and today we're on Arizona and Arkansas with the bands Ashbury and Hill Camino, and we're going to start off with Arizona and Ashbury. And Logan, you want to get right into it? Maybe a little history on the band, or where they're from, like where exactly who the band members are, and then go over some of your favorite tracks. Oh boy.
Ready? Is it working now? Maybe. I don't know. Can I hear myself? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start with Ashbury. At least I am. I think that's the one we were starting with. They're formed in I figured 1977 as Ashbury South in Tucson, Arizona, uh, by the Davis brothers, Rob and Randy, which they both play guitars and synths. And Randy handles the bass. I seen, and they had a drummer Johnny Ray and a keyboardist Jerry Van Dylan. I don't know how to say his last name. Dylan maybe. And I think they had another bass player on their first album. Not entirely sure though, because there's a lot of uh, differences in opinion about certain things on this band. It seems like online at least. But yeah, maybe it is his long lost cousin. But yeah, they released their first album, Endless Skies, in 1983, with no label really showing much interest in the band. They pressed 1,000 copies initially, but the record kind of became forgotten after that. And it seems like with the help of the internet and word of mouth, the band kind of gained another chance at going back into the studio and making more albums and stuff. Uh, this album, the first album, Endless Sky, is being held in high regard from a lot of classic rock fans. And I seen it was valued at once. At a time, it was valued at $500 for the record. I think it really shows influence from like Zeppelin and the acoustic spots, and obviously Wishbone Ash. I feel quite a bit. And the cover of the first album even reminds me of Argus a little bit, which I do not own a physical, but I will show a picture of it here in a second. Black Sabbath a little bit on the heavier songs that I'll get into a little bit. They don't really sound too much like Sabbath. They kind of have that kind of feel to it, but and I've seen the first CD prints of this album were released in '95, but there's been several other reissues since. So this is the cover of the first album, In the Skies, with the wizard guy kind of looks like looking over the mountains and all that kind of thing. It's pretty cool. Um, so some highlights from the first album for me are the opener, The Warning, which kind of sets the tone of the band's writing style. Yes, 100% Mark. Yep. I don't know if I wrote that down. I'm sure I did, but he does sound like Ian Anderson for sure from Tall. It's kind of like, I guess it's like Ian Anderson and like Sabbath kind of together a little bit in some of the heavier songs. But yeah, The Warning has some like nice rocking riffs. It's got some softer acoustic moments, with Rob's. There it is, with Rob's awesome Ian Anderson-esque vocals. And then the second track, Take Your Love Away, also shows the band's catchy songwriting. And this introduces some unison guitar lines into the mix, a la Wishbone Ash and Lizzie kind of thing. And there's a short little instrumental thing, Twilight, which kind of leads into probably my favorite Wishbone, or I keep on saying Wishbone Ash, my favorite Ashbury song, which is Vengeance. It's got a great opening riff, and I love that change up in the middle of the song when it changes riffs a little bit. It's got some nice acoustic leanings in the song Madman, which is after. I think it's a nice and welcome change of pace on the album. I love that great instrumental, No Morning. Wishbone Ashbury, exactly. It's like made to be messed up like that. But yeah, the instrumentals got a lot of cool guitar passages and lines together. And this band is really good at instrumentals. I will say that right off the bat. Love the great dramatic and theatric title track, which has a pretty cool layered style of songwriting. It's got the acoustic opening, and then it goes to the heavy part, and it kind of repeats that cycle. And there's piano in the middle slower section, which I thought was a nice touch. And this band is really good at soloing and really going off for a couple minutes at the end of a lot of their tracks, especially the Endless Sky song. It's got a solo that is too short to me, though, and I don't think there's a bad song on this first album. And I wrote down, it sounds like it could have came out in like 75 or 74 almost. I mean, it's got a lot of that flavor to it. So I kind of see why it didn't do much in 1983, but it's a great record. So I guess I'll keep going. We'll just do all of them like this, I guess, because it probably will mess up if Sydney comes back. So they broke up, I guess, pretty much, because the record did nothing, basically. And depending on what source you look at here, this album came out in 2005 or 2010, or change how that is on the internet. It says a bunch of different things, but I think it was probably 05. The second album is something funny going on, which is a terrible title for a rock album, especially when you got an acoustic guitar on there. I thought this was going to be a folky album, which it kind of does lean towards that a little bit, but there's some rocking stuff on here. And I hear the band lineup for this only has Rob and Randy together, and I think it was Randy who wanted to really do this. Rob really had no interest in it. Yep. But Rob still plays a little bit, and he does the vocals, of course, a little bit. I'm not sure who's singing what parts. Sometimes it's exactly, oh yeah, there's a lot of breaking up and getting back together and kind of deal with these guys. But this album kind of features a lot of the band's acoustic elements more than the others, I think. The three fills on here are all very well played. Really give the brothers time to shine. And I love that track, Sundown Turnaround. It's kind of like Southern rock vibes too, which I didn't mention in the first album, but there's a little bit of Southern rock tinges in that one too. Title track really shows the brothers' vocal abilities together shining through. And I love they're almost like poppier. If you like vocal groups of the 70s, like America and bands like that, this album you probably like. Because like Did It Feel Like Love and No Getting Over You, just being very well written and structured rock tunes with hooky, catchy chorus lines. Of course, they have solos pretty much at the end of them, like all of these songs. So it's kind of bringing the meshing of two things together. Evacuation Time is the hard rocker on this album. And the album opener, The Cold Light of Day, kind of reminds me of The Warning, opening the debut. It's got the kind of same feel to it. And the acoustic tones of Chasing Shadows is pretty good. So I think it's a pretty solid second album. Like I said, fans of vocal groups of the 70s would probably like this because of the acoustic tinges. Yeah, this record is pretty good, but I think the third album, which came out in 2018, is Eye of the Stygian Witches. It's kind of more of a follow-up. It feels like more of a follow-up to the first album to me. See if I can get a picture of that one up here. I don't believe they were on any labels. Not that I've seen. I think they were all self-produced, well, self-released and everything. This is the third album with that cool cover art that makes you think it's going to be like a Surathungal style album or something. But yeah, it's got Randy and Rob. It's got a couple of different players on it. John Bujak on guitars, Joey Moreno on bass, John Gilmler on drums, and Eddie Hosmer on bass on certain tracks. There's certain tracks I think they had different bass players. I think the band's acoustic and rock side being represented nicely in tracks like the title song, which starts off like all acoustic-like and mellow, and then the rock part comes into it. For sure, yeah. I agree with that. The title track, Celtic Cross, it's a nice little guitar piece, which goes into Waited So Long, which is very atmospheric and It's got a great solo. I think it's pretty long too. I think it's almost 9 minutes. It's 9 minutes and 1 second actually. Yeah, others, good guitar is well titled. Kind of a goofy title for a song, but it tells the story of like an up and coming rock star. I like that one. It's got a great chorus. End of All Time and Faceless Waters are two highlights too for me. Seems like the back half of this album, almost every song pretty much ends with a guitar solo, which is pretty awesome. Like a really long one. Well, besides All My Memories, which is kind of a throwaway. It's only a minute and 20 seconds. Yeah, it's just a very solid album. These guys really don't have. All three of these albums are really good. So, I mean, if you like those bands I mentioned, definitely check these guys out if you haven't before. They definitely have that unison guitar thing going and the acoustic tinges of certain stuff. And I definitely think they deserve more attention than they got. Yeah, and I'd listen to them in order of release. So I'd probably rank them. I think I do the first. Definitely Endless Skies would be first. And probably Odd City and Witches and then Something Funny Going On. But all three of them are definitely worth your time. If you like Southern rock, and like heavier bands like Sabbath, I would definitely give these guys a try. So that will be my thing on Arizona's Ashbury. So I don't know if you want me to go into the other band or. Well, Endless Skies is probably a 9. I'd give Something Funny Going On a 7.5. And probably Eye of the Stygian Witches is right with Endless Skies to me, so I give it a 9. Yes, I believe Randy sings for all these albums. So I think Randy and Rob both sing, but I really can't tell the difference between the two of them. I think Rob does like backing for Randy. I believe. But all right, so we'll go into open my notes up here for El Camino, which is the Arizona band, Arkansas. Band played on that Encyclopedia Metallium that me and Sydney go to. It's like our Bible. They call them Southern Metal, which is kind of a different kind of genre term I've never heard before. Well, there's plenty of different genres out there for sure, as me and him have talked about before. But this band kind of harkened back to me.
Whoa. Oh, he cut out now. So I guess I'll just go into my Ashbury thing. This thing was having issues. Hopefully he'll be back by the time. Oh God, that's too. That's really blown up. Let's see. All right. So I'll get into Endless Skies.
Oh.
All right. So I'm going to get into Endless Skies. Logan, I was going to start Endless Skies next.
Oh, yeah.
Or Ashbury. Okay, so let me go into Ashbury. Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, pick some of the songs that I think are really good on this. So yeah, starts off with The Warning. To me, it almost reminds me of The Outlaws meets Jethro Tull. So a little bit of Southern rock, but with Jethro Tull because of the vocals. Sounds splitting image of Ian Anderson. It's got a very memorable, catchy riff throughout the song, and then right before it breaks into like a short, cool, short little solo. There's like this mellow part where it's just vocals and acoustic guitar that sounds just like Tull. Like I said, it's just a very good, catchy, memorable song. Then you go into Vengeance, which is another. That's not the next song, but yeah, these are the songs that I picked out that are standouts. But yeah, Vengeance is a great song. Reminds me a little bit of Victim of Changes, but if Ian Anderson sang for Judas Priest, which is odd. It's not as heavy as Victim of Changes, but it just kind of has that sound. Around 2 minutes, there's like this really cool kind of like boogie rock riff with like some really great soloing on top of it. So it's like Southern rock meets Judas Priest meets Jethro Tull. It doesn't sound like that would work at all, but it does, and it's so well done. So just really neat song because you got like 3 great bands of influence right in there, or 3 styles. And then yeah, another standout for me is Madman. Starts off like this acoustic piece that reminds me of the acoustic part of Blinding Light Show before that goes into like Moonchild. It just kind of has that feeling to it before the vocals kick in, and it just again sounds like Jethro Tull meets Southern rock. And this song really picks up speed and starts to remind me of Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. So it also has a little bit of that going on in that song especially. And then yeah, even the solo reminds me of Sultans of Swing with a little more Southern rock feeling though. The chorus is really catchy, it sticks in my head. It ends with a really cool solo that fades out unfortunately, but is very Sultans as sorry, it doesn't fade out. Unlike no, sorry, messed that one up. It doesn't fade out. And Sultans of Swing sort of fades out a little bit, but this doesn't. It's great. I love that it doesn't. But yeah, Madman is the song. Madman is a really good, well-written song with different parts to it. And another standout is No Morning. It's just really cool instrumental song, and it kind of reminds me of the song Jessica by the Allman Brothers. Just kind of this fun, laid-back song, but the guitar playing is amazing. It's not heavy, but there's just amazing guitar playing throughout, but it's kind of like mellow, but really just a lot like Jessica. It was by the Allman Brothers. And then we go to, yeah, the title track, which ends the album, is Endless Skies. And this is like their long, epic song. Starts off with this cool little acoustic piece, kind of like this little atmospheric wind sound and some wind chimes, some wind chimes as well. Stays acoustic for a little bit with like a keyboard running through it, what I'm kind of hearing. And then the heavy Priest-style riffs kick in, and it stops, and then this piano part comes in with these amazing vocals over it, and he's actually got a really beautiful voice when he does this kind of thing, and it just really works for this style of music. And then heavy riffs come back and turns into this great bluesy 70s Priest-style thing. And then the song ends with like a catchy riff, and this just singer sounds great as always. And there's one, two, three, five standout tracks on the album. The other songs are really good too, but these are like the really ones that stand out for me. I think it's a great album. I can give it a 10 because I don't think there's anything bad on it. And the songs I did discuss, I think are amazing. So to me, it's a 10. I don't think there's anything bad on it. I endorse everything Sydney said. I endorse this message. I approve this message.
I had to go
I would give anything to be young again.
I went and messed with the Wi-Fi a little bit, see if it'll.
Left arm, yeah. How about that's funny.
I blame this guy up here.
Yeah. Album does have a really good sound. Surprising how, yeah, I guess just too many influences in one. You got Dire Straits in there, Priest, it's just a mash of influences, but people aren't as open-minded with that, I don't think. It sounds like too many other things, and people just, they just copied this. No. It's like, well, yeah, but I think it's great. 10 out of 10 to me.
Well, in the time period.
Yeah, 1983.
The time period
like,
when it came out, too, probably didn't help.
83 heavy metal was coming out. People probably looked at that, thought this is going to sound like Dio, or it's going to sound like something like that. But then it's something totally different, and people just probably heard the first song, The Warning, and we're just like, this isn't really that heavy. This is like Southern rock almost. Yeah. And just, yeah, that's a shame because these guys should have been big. Had this come out 79, maybe, like late 70s, not early 80s. It was the wrong time. It's a great album. And then, I get to Something Funny Going On, which I just think is a terrible title. I get that's one of the songs, but of all the songs to pick, I don't know. It's not how, it's a good album to put on and clean the house. That's how I judge my music. Oh boy. Something funny going on with that title. Yeah, exactly. And then I wrote, let's see. All right, so the standouts. I got 4 songs that I picked off of this, which are the standout to me. So I got No Getting Over You. Sounds like a very kind of, you'd think it would be like this boring ballad with that title, but no, it's a cool mid-tempo, like Southern rock sounding song with like Southern rock riff going throughout it. About 3.5 minutes, it turns into like this kind of weird acoustic thing, and you can kind of hear a tambourine in the background and almost like some tapping that's very low in the mix, but you can hear it and it just blends in well. And then it goes into a very melodic guitar solo that goes on for a while and ends the song. Just a great, well-written song. I really like that song, No Getting Over It. It's really well written. And then, yeah, Evacuation Time has like this funky but like heavy riff throughout it. It's not funk by any means, but just the way the riff is done is very funky. It's a simple but memorable chorus with a solo going over top of it, which I kind of found cool. You don't really generally have solos going on during the chorus, but yeah, it was really neat. Just a cool, fun song. And then, yeah, Sundown Turnaround is another good one. So there's a few instrumentals on this, but yeah, this is a good one. It's mellow, but tons of great lead playing, especially at the end. Just goes nuts. Great instrumental. And then WMD, which I wasn't sure. Logan looked it up, and apparently it stands for Weapons of Mass Destruction. And it's another instrumental. It ends the album. Great song. I think it's better than the Sundown Turnaround. I like it a little bit better. But yeah, it's just crazy fast leads over the entire song. There's just acoustic guitar playing, but there's crazy fast leads over it. It's instrumental, but sadly it's only 1 minute and 42 seconds and it just ends. It would have been great if they made it like longer. But yeah, it's just going nuts with the electric guitar over top of the acoustics. It's just a great, cool way to end the album. Wish it was longer, but it works. So overall, I don't think it's near as good as the debut. It's a solid comeback album after they got back together. I find there's a little bit too much ballads and songs that sound very similar to each other. George Bush, oh boy, George Bush made this album. Weapons of Mass Destruction, oh boy. Okay, let's not get too political. Yeah, so then overall, yeah, it's not really as good as the debut. Yeah, it's I would 7.5 out of 10 I'd probably give it, because the songs, even that I'm not too crazy about, they're still yeah, they're well played. Even the ones that are very similar to each other and repetitive, it's well played. There's just nothing it's not as solid all the way through as the debut, so I can't give it close to a 10. It's 7.5, which is still good. Not bad for a band that hasn't been around since 1983, and let's just get back together. So really not bad for a comeback album. And I think they are still around. They're still touring, actually. I would believe they still get gigs in like Europe, but like it's weird. They're from Arizona, but all their shows are probably over in Europe and at these metal festivals, because that they really stay loyal to that type of music. Whereas sadly in North America, it's kind of all about what's trendy, and it's kind of the opposite of how it was. Like you had to try to break in the States and Canada and North America, and you wanted to play there all the time. Now these American bands want to play in Europe because that's where the audience is for this stuff. It's really odd, really strange. But yeah, so then we get to Eye of the, is it Stygian or Stygian witches? Not sure what that is, but yeah, it's the standout songs. I got 4 songs that I picked out of here. There's a song called Good Guitar, kind of silly title. It's a fun, like, kind of boogie rocker, but the only little part that bothers me a little bit, I don't know if it's the same guy singing or if it's one of the other brothers. I find his voice sounds a little bit flat on that song. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just couldn't hit like some of those higher register notes as the earlier album. I'm not sure if it's even him, but it stands out a little bit too much. His voice sounds a little bit, I don't know, flat to me. I don't know why, and it kind of is a little bit difficult on the ears. But the song itself is just great guitar playing throughout. Yeah, popism. Oh God, here we go with the isms again. Oh yeah. And then yeah, Out of the Blue, Jethro Tull kind of makes a heavy return here on that one. Mid-tempo song, ends with a nice guitar solo, decent song. Faceless Waters, it's probably the heaviest song on the album. It's kind of mid-tempo, picks up steam and gets really fast with an amazing solo over a cool riff, and then ends with just the riff, the leads end, and then it's just the riff, and then there's like this really cool like drum fill, and then ends on a different riff. So it's kind of neat how they really end the song. And then, yeah, the title track. Again, seems like the title tracks on the first and that third album were really strong, really strong standouts. So on this one, yeah, Eye of the Stygian Witches starts off acoustic before a heavy riff kicks in, kind of almost like Endless Skies Part 2. Not quite as good, but it has that sort of feeling. It reminds me of that because of how it starts and it goes into the heavy riff. Has like a great slow solo in the middle, and then at the end it kicks into this really cool like bass line riff, and then before a really fast solo and some riffing to close out the song. Just really, yeah, the chorus, yeah, it's a great song. My favorite would probably, I'd probably go maybe Faithless Waters, or I have this, yeah, between those two. For me, it's the weakest album. I don't know, like, because there's only 4 songs that really stand out. A lot of them just don't stand out to me. By no means it's bad. I'd give it a 7 because the songs are still really good. Like none of these albums are terrible where you put it on and be like, oh, this is just no, I can't listen to this. No, I'd go 10, 7.5, and 7. So I would go in order of release. It sounds bad saying that they got worse as they went along, but it's hard to like compete to like your earlier material when you were young and just full of ideas. It's not the same. But yeah, that's still though for if all they had
when there's so many years apart too.
Yeah. If they didn't have Endless Skies and they were just a new band and came out with these 2 albums, I'd say, oh, this is great. This is a throwback to like old material. This is really, but like when you have that first album, that to me is a perfect 10. It's hard to live up to that, even though publicly it didn't really get the attention it deserved. But they did apparently when Endless Skies got re-released, the first album, when it got re-released on CD, I think the label was like Rockadrome or something, or Rockadome. It was like some smaller independent label. It was the highest selling album on that label, and they sold out. So they had a revival, and that I guess allowed them to get back together because I guess the internet that was ended up on YouTube and online, and people just thought this should get reissued. It's great music. Like what the hell, and people should know this. So yeah, so people jumped on it. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Hey, oh, hi Debbie. How are you?
That's part of the reason why me and you do these shows too.
Oh yeah, I've got to bring attention to these bands. Like
try to get the name of the band out there a little bit.
Said, all this stuff is you can go on our YouTube channel here and go to the homepage or the playlists, and you'll hear everything that we've talked about. Whether it's on the Triumph show or this, so you can listen to all this music, so you can kind of judge it for yourself. Or yeah. Oh, yeah, that is a nice dog. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that, Debbie. Yeah, that's all right. So then we'll go to Logan for some southern metal, I guess. For some not El Camino, Hell Camino. So I'll just minimize myself again here just to make your end a little bit better. So. All right, so let's see. God, how do I do that again? Let's see.
All right, so looks like it's working. So I guess I'll get back into what I was saying before. I didn't know we were gonna, but I didn't know it was gonna mess up like that. So I tried to turn some stuff off, so maybe it'll work a little bit better. I don't know, but I think I was saying this band plays a good mix of stoner, sludge metal, kind of rock. Kind of harkens back to some of the bands of the 90s that I'm going to mention here. Like if you're a fan of Clutch, Monster Magnet, Caius, COC, Corrosion of Conformity. Yeah, this guy knows. But they bring their southern rock influences in the music. And Lefty Ray Williams has some like kind of heavy bluesier, gritty vocals kind of. I mentioned the band's current lineup is James Seifert on bass and Zeth Stetson on drums. They got some names in this band. I'm sure it's not their. Yeah, I kind of doubt. They should have named his brother here instead of Hash Williams. They should have named him Righty if his name is Lefty. But El Camino's first album was a self-titled in 2015. Believe that was self-released too. I didn't write it down. But it's got Scott Rains on bass and Hash Williams, like Sydney just said, on drums here. or on bass. Sorry, I had them flipped. Scott Rains on drums and Hash on bass, along with Lefty. I think this album is a great listen the whole way through. It's really short too. It's only like 35 minutes. It's got some great tracks like Dead and Gone. This is what the cover looks like. But opener Dead and Gone has some cool, really introducing the band's sound here. You can tell they love that 90s style music and some of the southern rock of old too. A lot of the solos in this band, he really kind of channels some certain people. Yeah, probably would be better. But I hear some maybe like a little Gary Rossington, some of the Allman Brothers kind of thing, Dickie Betts a little bit, maybe more distorted a little bit, but he's definitely got that kind of feel to it. But I wrote down a couple tracks like Dead and Gone's a great opener. These guys have awesome openers, I think. And for a goofy title like Rixie Road, that song crushes pretty hard too. Got some great, tones and dynamics in that song. They go from heavy in the verses and the choruses, in the chorus to kind of softer, not softer, but a little bit more downplaying in the verses. We got like a dramatic sounding song, Walk With Me Into the Fire. I love that one. That one's kind of got like filled with emotion. And I love the rocking closer of Coma. It's got a great heavy riff, kind of like that, not like something Sabbath would do, kind of. It kind of reminds me of that. It's got a great heavy riff. I think the whole album's well worth listening. Like I said, clocking in a little over half an hour makes for a fun, enjoyable listen. And it's got great playing from everyone here, really going for that heavy southern rock vibe, kind of southern metal, which I guess makes sense why they're called that. I think I wrote down all the tracks. I mean, really, all of them are pretty good. Pleasure to Burn, Another Lost Soul, Weeping. But yeah, this album's worth checking out in full, I would say. If you're going to listen to one of them, this would probably be the one to check out, I'd say. And then they didn't waste no time making a second album. Their second record is called Orange Lily, and it was released in 2016, which is just a year past this one. I think it was January 26th, if I remember right, what me and Indy were talking about. It wasn't long after the first one. But I couldn't find any information on the band lineup, but I'm guessing it's the exact same as the last record. Keeps true to the band sound. Trying to get a picture of it up here for you guys. Really like their album art. That whole skull in the car there. Kind of different. But yeah. This album really keeps true to the band's sound. It has 8 more tracks of hard stoner rock goodness. And of course, like I was saying with the opening tracks, Dixie Mafia kind of starts the album in the same vein as Dead and Gone did the first one. Title track Orange Lily is a fun up-tempo rocker, and I love the song Inertia Switch. If you're a drummer, I mean, that song is just like, it sounds like a workout, man. You're going like, reminds me of like a roller coaster ride kind of or something. It's going pretty crazy on that one. And that riff grooves to no end on that one. And the last track, God and Gravity, is kind of different. It's almost 10-minute instrumental jam. And it's got this guy, like, it kind of sounds like a preacher, but he's talking about the devil or something at the beginning and ending of the track. It doesn't really go anywhere, so I could see somebody not liking this. There's no solo in it, but I like that groove in it. It's got a cool groove throughout. Hey, Ken White. I'm not looking at the chat here, but yeah, awesome. We're getting all these people to come on and listen to us talk about these bands that, I don't want to copy Grant that nobody talks about, but yeah, I think this record's a great sophomore release from these guys, and I might enjoy it more than the debut. We'll see here in a couple minutes. And then they took a little bit of a break. Something happened there. I know me and Sydney were talking about, because Hash leaves. Actually, you get a completely different lineup. Lefty's the only guy who stays here, so I'm not sure if he slept with his brother's wife or I don't know, but something happened there. Yeah, yep. But they took a while. Their third release came in 2019, Jaws of the Wachita. Yeah, we'll never get Lefty Williams on this show now because I just said that. But yeah, it's got James Seifert on bass, like I said before, Zeth Stetson on drums. Stetson. I think it keeps that classic hard rock sound right off the bat with, again, another great track, Red Voodoo, which is a pretty cool riff rocker with a great chorus. And opens the album up, in great fashion like these guys usually do. Trying to get a picture up so you guys can see it. This album cover isn't much to look at. I like their logo there. Yeah, kind of looks like they're in their death metal stage or black metal stage there. Yeah, it's got a. Well, I was talking about Red Voodoo, so we'll go for the other highlights. Bridge May Burn with a riff. I like how the riff opens on the left channel and the bass and the drums come in on the right. If you're listening to this on headphones, it does that. Kind of goes back and forth. And it's got a great solo section with the band laying down a pretty cool groove. Another great hard rock song with a great chorus section. There's plenty of great choruses on these albums too. Yep, and the third track, River Row. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yep, I'm repeating myself too much. But yeah, third track, River Row would be yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, the headphone thing for sure. This one's kind of different though, because like I think with Triumph and stuff, it's like the guitars going in between. This one like straight guitar in the left channel, and then they come in the right channel. Then it's both. That's kind of a different way of producing it there. But I'll talk about River Row. Be another standout for me with a great rocking riff, a great chorus backed by some cool drum work. Solo on the song sounds a lot more kind of akin to that Southern rock thing. And I said this album really kind of has that Zakk Wylde Black Label Society kind of style more than the earlier two albums to me. Not really a bad thing. Sounds like they're kind of just going for a more modern kind of style outside of the 90s kind of influences they were having. And like Possum Cop, that's a pretty good tune. It's got kind of, I think that one's 5 minutes, over 5 minutes. It's got some cool guitar lines, some switches in the bass, some pretty cool bass playing too on this album. That guy, yeah, James Seifert, he's a great bass player. So, but there's a couple throwaways on here. To me, the 1 minute and 6 second Henry and Ives doesn't go anywhere. Kind of just there, I guess it's a story song, but it's not really a song. It's okay. I like Burning the Mississippi too. I didn't write that one down in my notes, but that one's pretty killer. And I think they mentioned one of the earlier songs in the title, something about it. I can't remember if it, or they might say Hell Camino in that song. That's got a cool riff to it though. Yeah, the title track, it's great, just like all their the second album had a title track. Them two really strong tracks. So kind of like how Ashbury had the strong title tracks, these guys kind of do too. In the same way, kind of too, because there's two good ones, but Ashbury all three had title tracks. So I guess not really, but rambling a little bit. But yeah, Until I Die, not crazy about Until I Die. It's okay. It's kind of too long for what it does. But yeah, it's a strong album. So I'd say if you're interested in any of the band I mentioned, I think these guys are well worth checking out. And I don't know if they're broke up or not, because 2019 is what 6 years ago now. So we'll see if we get another album out of these guys. But I'd probably go if I'm gonna rank them, which I'll let Sydney talk about Burning Sky. I was gonna listen to them. They put a couple singles out by themselves. I didn't get the chance to listen to them. I need to listen to that Burning Sky. But if I was gonna rank them, I'd probably do it in order of release. But it's hard between the first two. I really enjoy the first two. I think the first two are pretty interchangeable. Like you could put one song on the other one and the other song on that one. But yeah, I'd probably do order of release for that. And I'd give the first one probably a 9 because that's my kind of style of music. Orange Lily probably get an 8. And Jaws of the Waikita, I'd probably give it an 8 too. It's just a little different kind of stylings. But wanted to mention too, we were talking about this before we went on, the Lefty Williams vocal. He kind of reminds me of Pepper Keenan from Corrosion of Conformity. That probably isn't the guy Sydney is going to say here, but he kind of has that kind of vocal to me. But that's about all I had to say about El Camino. I think it's a very strong catalog. There you go. No. But yeah, it's a very strong catalog. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of any kind of Southern stoner, stuff like that, But yeah, that's about all I had to say about them guys.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I want to know what that would sound like. Yeah, so El Camino, yeah, band from Arkansas. Hit the first 2 albums. I don't know what happened by the 3rd album. You had 2 brothers in the band, but by the 3rd album, it was just Lefty Williams on vocals and guitar, and his brother wasn't there anymore. Like, don't want to start any rumors, but like Logan said, maybe he slept with his brother's wife. I don't know what happened. But yeah, just had a falling out. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe his brother just didn't want to do music anymore. We don't know. So yeah, by the 3rd album, it was a different lineup, but I mean, you had your guitar player, singer still there. So yeah, so his first album, right off the bat, Dead and Gone. Right away, it starts off with just this very strong, like memorable heavy riff and strong vocals. Sounds very modern, but like with a mix of 70s hard rock and some really great bluesy solos. It's a very, very catchy, and to me, it should have been played on modern rock radio all day long. I don't get why this song didn't blow up. I mean, being from Arkansas and so far away from, I don't know, like it should have been huge. Like this song just sounds like a radio hit for the time that it came out. Like this came out in the 2000s, and this stuff is kind of popular in the 2000s. It just sounds like that kind of. Sounds like something that should have been a hit at the time of release. I don't know why it wasn't, and why these guys are obscure. And Pleasure to Burn almost sounds alternative metal. Not really alternative, but it's kind of, that's how I would a little bit describe it. But I love it. It still has that bluesy element, and this guy can really, really sing. Great bluesy solo in the middle of it. We get to Rixie Road, which is weird. I don't know what that's all about. Not Dixie Road, but Rixie Road. It's just kind of a weird title. Song is heavy and just kind of hits you in the face. The vocals are very raunchy here. And yeah, this guy's voice, he reminds me of John Bush from Armored Saint and Anthrax. That's what I hear this entire time. Like, as soon as I heard this, I'm like, this is John Bush. That's who I hear. And then I was thinking Chris Cornell for a little bit, but then I'm like, no, it's John Bush. He has that very aggressive but very bluesy kind of really strong vocals. Great singer, and Danny's the guitar player, so he's just very talented musician. Dixie Road is in Mississauga. Well, this is Rixie Road with an R, so yeah. We got Another Lost Soul. Starts off mid-tempo, but really heavy. After he chews on some glass and screams, you're just another lost soul. It turns into some really fast riffing, then back to a mid-pace riff with some really fun leads over it, and then back to the verses again. Just really fun song. Can El Camino deliver? Yeah. Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's a good riff. There we go. I get that. Yeah. For those who don't know, Armored Saint had a song called "Can You Deliver?" So that's what Logan's referring to with that comment. Yeah, if you don't know Armored Saint, you should check them out, and you'll see what I mean by the compare both bands. It's right there. Yeah, and then where are we here? Yeah, Weeping starts off sounding a lot like Not Fragile by BTO with the bass that boom, 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 and then even the riff. To me it sounds, there's like a little bit of notes in there where they change it. But to me, it sounds like that, just more heavier and distorted, and then kind of turned into its own thing after that. It's got a really bluesy solo. This whole song kind of reminds me of BTO if they had John Bush singing, which is a weird combination. And then yeah, it's probably my favorite song on the album is Weeping. And then Coma, great way to end the song.
Awesome.
It's like Black Sabbath kind of meets Soundgarden a little bit. Very Iommi inspired soloing with lots of like string bending. Amazing way to end the album. Like total like Sabbath.
Oh,
I give this album. So this is how I'm ranking them. I'm not giving them stars out of 10. I'm giving them riffs out of 10. So I'm giving this 8 riffs out of 10. That's all I can say about this music. Just riffs, 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 riffs. So yeah, I give this 8 riffs out of 10. It's not perfect, but if you like heavy Sabbath style riffs and John Bush's type vocals, you'll love this kind of stuff. And then we get into yeah, that's the first album. So yeah, I no problem giving that an 8 out of 10. Really strong stuff. And then yeah, I get to Orange Lily. So now we go from Rixie to Dixie, but now instead of the road, we're going to the Mafia. Dixie Mafia, kind of more of the same from the first album, but in a good way. Heavy riffs and great leads. There even seems to like some sort of keyboards. It's low in the mix, but it goes well with the sound of the song. To me, I think it's keyboards. It's really low, so it's kind of hard to hear, but I hear it, and it goes really well with the feel of the song. It's a great song. And then the title track. The title tracks seem to be like some of the really good, memorable songs on these albums. They're just really good title tracks. And yeah, we get to Orange Lily, the title track. It should have been a huge hit. Very radio friendly, but still has great riffs and great leads. Chorus is simple enough. Chorus is simple enough for it to be played all over the radio. I don't get this sounds like stuff that would come out in the 2000s. A band, I don't know if you know, there's a band called Monster Truck that blew up. I saw them opening for Deep Purple, and then they just blew up and they became really popular. Kind of had that feel. Why didn't these guys, like, it has that modern sound, but with a 70s appreciation to it. It's a shame.
Yeah.
These guys, like again, maybe the Arkansas thing, you're kind of all the way really far from where the industry would be, and you would have had to probably move to the state somewhere else. I don't know. It's probably hard to stay in Arkansas and go somewhere with that kind of music. Who knows? But then look, you got Kings of Leon, where they were from where? They were from Kentucky, I think. Actually,
I think it was somewhere. Yeah, it was somewhere around there.
But they managed to break through, so that's not really a good excuse. These guys should have been like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Band from Kentucky can make it all over the radio. Why? Yeah, they should have been huge. I don't know. I don't get it. And then yeah, Death Inside of Me. 3 words for this song: Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Would have fit on that album had John Bush been around back then and singing for Black Sabbath. I don't know if yeah, if Tony and Iommi and John Bush, they're both still alive, but I guess so he didn't get their souls transferred into him like Frank did with Hendrix, but
might have swapped blood or something. It had to be something.
Oh yeah, it's like he's got these guitar, he's got the guitar chops of Tony Iommi and the vocals of John Bush. Like this guy's so talented. Like this guy should have been. He's just right up there vocally and guitar playing. He's just such a great musician. Nashville, that's it. Tennessee. Okay, well that makes a bit more sense. They're from a music place. That's what Arkansas maybe should have done. They should have maybe tried for Arkansas. El Camino. They probably should have moved to maybe Nashville, and that music might have been appreciated a bit more.
They probably got picked up by a label at least. I would think.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Maybe you got to move, right? Though not everyone wants to leave their home. I mean, yeah.
Well, look at how we talked about Pandemonium last week. I mean, if they wouldn't have done nothing if
LA, that's like life.
They didn't move out of Fairbanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get to another song, Drug Love. More Sabbath-inspired riffing, very dark subject matter about drug addiction. I don't know if one of the band members are going through it. It's kind of hard to like find any real information about these guys or personal stuff. I don't know if that just made for good lyrics for the song. But yeah, like really good song. But yeah. Then Vertigo, just riff aplenty, and amazing solo. We're getting a pattern here. Another great song in Vertigo. Reborn Reject, another heavy song with very dark lyrics. These guys did write some very serious but like dark subjects. But it goes well with the music.
Very Sabbath reminiscent, for sure.
Especially with his vocal delivery. I'm wondering if something personal happened between the brothers, because even like the lyrical content, you're thinking, was there some issues here? But yeah, great guitar solo in this song, Reborn Reject. It almost sounds like there's a flange being used, Logan. I don't know. You play guitar. Does that can recall that at all, the solo in Reborn Reject, if there sounds like there's a
Yeah.
flange in there, to me it sounds, yeah. Yeah, I'd also give this 8
There's
riffs out
probably
of
definitely
10.
some. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Even this, I'd give it 8 riffs out of 10. Not a perfect album either, but lots to love on here. It's just very, both albums are very
solid
Sabbath
rock.
inspired. And just another great album. And then, yeah, the third album, where this is where we had the lineup change, where only Lefty Williams was left on vocals and guitar. I guess his brother was out on bass and the drummer, and brought in 2 new guys. I don't know what was the issue there, what happened, but I don't know if that caused them to break up, because they did this album and then nothing since. I think it says they're on hold or something. When you look them up, it doesn't say they're broken up. I think it says on hold. So I don't know what's going on there. But they have, yeah, the first song right off, yeah, Red Voodoo starts off with, to me, this sounds like the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath riff a little bit. I hear that a little tiny bit, very close, and then it just becomes its own thing. But yeah, the third straight opening track, all 3 albums open with a really great song. So yeah, Red Voodoo, great song off the third album. And then Bridge May Burn, this is probably my favorite song of the entire catalog. I love Bridge May Burn. It's a little high energy rhythm to it. His voice sounds a bit different, a little bit more cleaner, sort of, but doesn't lose that John Bush style of vocal, but he sounds a little bit different. They went on vacation to the Hill Casino. Oh boy. Yeah, and then what are we here? Yeah, so then great riffing and soloing as always. And then playing my dues. I love that title. It kind of makes me laugh. Instead of paying my dues, playing my dues. Great song with, yeah, amusing title. Solo here reminds me of something you would almost hear on like the Brother Kane's first album or second album. I get that on some of the solos here, as some of the stuff from the Brother Kane albums that we previously talked about, because it's very bluesy at times. Like you'll have this really heavy, distorted song where he's just screaming, and then the solo kicks in. It's like this bluesy thing. It's just a really neat mix. And then the Mississippi Burning. It's weird that I would like. Yeah, it's slow but a heavy song with another amazing song. So another amazing solo. This guy can sing and play. It's slow but it's heavy, and yeah, great. Another great song. Then here's a song that I shouldn't like, but maybe I like it because the lyrics are a bit odd. But this should have been played on the radio, but I think it's the lyrical content that prevented that. A song called Until I Die. It's all acoustic. There's no heavy distortion. No, it's just completely acoustic. But I think it should have been a huge hit because it's very made for radio. But I'm sure the lyrics are, "Until I die, won't you motherfuckers just let me be, let me be." I'm sure that had something to do with it. I'm sure that didn't help. It's made for the radio, lyrics aside. But yeah, I guess with the lyrics like that, you're not gonna, oh, wonder if Lefty is a lefty. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, it's just, yeah, the lyrics probably prevented that from being played on the radio, because it's an acoustic song that it's the kind of stuff that you'd expect to be on the radio as well. And then yeah, the title track, Jaws of the Wakita, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, or another heavy song with just riffs and more riffs and a killer solo again. Just over, I don't think the third album overall is strong as the previous 2, but it's still, yeah, 7.5 riffs out of 10 for me. And then yeah, great band. It should have just been as huge. It sounds modern, but with lots of like Sabbath inspired riffs for people like us who like older music. So it's not to the point where it's just gonna wash your mouth out with soap. Oh, dropping F-bombs here. Oh. Oh, I made sure I didn't click on that app where it gives you the option. Is your video made for children? No. So yeah, it was pretty strong catalogs here with Ashbury and El Camino. Just yeah, both great bands, and lowest rating I've given, I guess, was 7.5 for any of this stuff. So check them out. They're there on the channel. You can look down there and see where the playlist is for these bands and check all their stuff out. There's also yeah, like Logan said, El Camino released a few singles. It's hard to find any of them to listen to, but I was able to find Burning Sky, which is also on there that you can go listen to. It's actually a really good song. I can't remember, I think it was between the second and third album. It should have been
Yeah,
put on.
yep.
I think it should have been put on the third album. Maybe it had the other members on it, so they couldn't. Maybe they recorded a single and then they had the falling out or whatever happened between them, and so maybe that's why it didn't end up on the album. I don't know what happened, what the story is with that, with the single that they released, but that's a great song too. And I think there was a lyric video for it. I think that's the one that's on the thing. Yeah, so yes, that's why. Yeah, I like to have easy access to the songs on here, just so we're not just talking about these bands and you have to go researching it. You can just go right there on the channel and pull up El Camino or Ashbury or even from the previous episode. Just pull it up and you can listen to it anytime you want. I didn't upload them. These are just like songs that people from other channels have like uploaded as like playlists, but I created my own playlist from there. So yeah, it's from different channels. So yeah, there's the single for Burning the Sky, or Burning Sky, not Burning the Sky. It's just Burning Sky. Okay. Yeah, just two great bands, totally different styles of music, but they're both really strong. They're both, I guess, in the southern rock metal, I guess, vein, but with their own twists on things. I just think it's great stuff. Yeah, both bands should have been big. I can see why Ashbury wasn't because of the timing, but hell, Camino, I don't get
sixth grade album.
I don't know what happened with El Camino there. It's not like they were time-wise. Their timing, I thought, is perfect, but I don't know what happened there. I should have maybe tried moving to like maybe Nashville or somewhere else with more music promotion, but it's too bad. We'll Burn the Sky, Scorpions. Not that song. It's a different song. But yeah, so that was a good show. It was too bad Logan was freezing there a little bit, but started working, so we're good now. So the next week, we are going to you're going to get 3 states next week, kind of. Sort of 3. Oh, yeah, it's 3 separate states, but I wanted to kind of lump some of them together. I didn't want to do like North Carolina in the end and then South Carolina at S. I think that's kind of weird to do that. So next week we're doing California and North and South Carolina, and I think you'll enjoy those picks. So Carolina is going to be a band called Alcana. Great one album band from the 78, I believe, called Welcome to My Paradise. And I've actually been in contact with the guitar player from this band, and he's already like given permission for in the future if we ever decide to play music on the channel, maybe like have a chat where people can come in and come on camera and just hang out and like listen to some of the music and enjoy it with us. He's already given me his blessing for us to play the entire album in its entirety on an episode if we want to, and he's also agreed to come on the show and talk to us about his career at some point. So look out for that, and sometime in the near future we'll be doing an interview where you guys in the chat can ask questions, try to keep it appropriate, nothing dumb, and yeah, ask him some good interesting questions. I'm sure he has lots of good stories to tell. Band from California, and I'm sure he'll be thrilled that we picked. He seems thrilled that of all the like for California, there's probably thousands and thousands and thousands of bands he could have picked from that state, and decided to go with it. Like when doing the show, this is actually the band that I actually thought of first was Alcana, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, I couldn't remember what state they were from, and then when I was so relieved when it was California, because that was a state where I'm just like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to pick from that, because I can't think of, there's so many. There goes my question. How tall are you? Yeah, no. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, it'd be fun to get him on the show. That's what Brand sucks.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Judas Priest sucks. I
might tell you.
Yeah, so we'll be doing Alcana, which are from California, and then for the Carolinas, some interesting band names. And, yeah, asking. Oh God. Oh boy.
Don't want his use stock, huh?
Oh, that's no. Oh, God. And then yeah, so for what was the other? But yeah, so North Carolina and South Carolina. Let me pull this up because I'm very forgetful on which one is from which. I don't want people to be like, oh, that's not North Carolina. Let's see. Where are we here? State to states. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, California, we got Alcana. And it was funny. I was texting him and asking him how he pronounces his name. And he thought it was amusing and actually told me the correct pronunciation. So yeah, at least he showed us or told me. Yeah, and then
For sure, yeah.
and then so yeah, from North Carolina, this won't be too bad. We only got 3 albums to discuss next week, sort of, because one of the band didn't really release any official albums. They just kind of had like a bunch of singles, and then later on was re-released onto an actual collection of all their songs, which I think the guitar player has them uploaded on his little YouTube channel. So I got them from there and posted them for you to listen. I'll post those after this show, so you guys can check that out before the next episode, so you know what we're talking about. So yeah, the bands are California. You got Alcana. From North Carolina, great band name, Sex, Love, and Money. How they came up with that? Sure. Sex, Love, and Money.
Three most important things in life right there.
Oh my God. Yep. Well, the money can get you the first 2. So there you go. No. And then great. Yeah, the band name probably held them back. Kind of a weird band name, Sex, Love, and Money. But yeah, great. I've heard it. Great stuff. It's 90s, but it's some pretty heavy stuff. But yeah, we'll get into that when we get into it. Sex, Love, and Money from North Carolina. And this is where it gets weird. Into a band from South Carolina, but they're called New York. So kind of like 80s glam, hair metal a little bit, but I think it was pretty cool stuff. All they had was a few singles, and then they ended up re-releasing all their songs all into one big compilation thing. So they never had an official album, but this stuff did get re-released onto a collection. So be interesting to talk about New York from South Carolina and Sex, Love, and Money from North Carolina. Yeah.
Looking forward to that show for sure, yeah.
Yeah, New York, South Carolina. That's going to look so weird when I make the graphic. I was going to say South Carolina and then New York is the logo. People are going to be like, what? I guess New York's a better band name than South Carolina. I really don't know. Like, I don't know. Weird.
And want to mention too, anybody who in the chat who listens to these albums we're talking about here, they can let us know how they feel about them, on the comments.
Sure.
And,
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've already got
it's a great start to it. I guess it's not the start to it, but it's a great series. I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get into all of them. So yeah, I've already got all the playlists created for every single band that I've picked out so far. So after this episode, I'll post the California and the Carolinas, and you can check those out before that episode. I don't know if Logan can do it next Sunday. I don't know if you're up for it. It's only 3 albums. You think that would be easier since it's only 3 instead of doing 6?
Yeah.
This is for 3 states and it's only 3 albums, so I figured it worked out. So maybe we can arrange it for next week.
I'll let you know. Yeah, we might be able to.
Yeah, 3 albums isn't as difficult. I knew you needed 2 weeks. You kind of need for when you're doing a band with 3 albums each. It's like that's 6 albums. And especially when we got the Saturday show. So, yeah, thank everybody for taking the time to watch this. Hopefully you can check out these bands and provide with some feedback on the next episode and see what you think. And I'll post the next week's bands on here right after we're done recording, so you guys can listen to those in advance, and so you guys can maybe have an opinion on them by the time the next episode airs. So thanks to everyone that's here watching, and we'll see you later.
See you guys.